All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is February 25th, 2019. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of the webinar tonight is Drawing Minor, Secondary, and Medium Lines. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, paragraph 2, line 3 of the disclaimer, Lewis says he wants to know about that. All right, submit that in writing there. How's that? Submit that in writing, and we'll go over it, of course. Let's see here. Bear with me just one second. Let me go to the members area first off, and you'll see the screen in just one second. All right. All right, first off, just to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and put the webinar from Saturday. Right now, it's right here, 5 great trade setups you can bank on. We're going to put this in blue up here in training. And tonight's webinar, I'm going to also put up here in the blue area for training, and probably even rename them somewhat or something like that. Simply because tonight, what I want to go over is how to use basically Lightning 1, Lightning 2, and Lightning 3. And if you're, very familiar with this, this will seem somewhat repetitive, but I think if you'll stick around, you'll probably see some things you really like. And of course, basically, if somebody's a little bit newer to Viper, what I'm talking about tonight is just literally the way we trade this system. Let's see, Michael is saying, I'm still trying to figure out why there was a long trade this morning on GC when background and mid-band was red too. And it's going to be exactly what we're talking about right here, Michael. It's going to be exactly what we're talking about right here. Keep in mind that we try to get into trades, as trends are changing also. Okay, so that's real important to understand. We get in those trades, extremely good levels. So let's go ahead and go to our charts. All right. Now, what we're going to talk about for a few minutes here, let me just go ahead and go with just this full-size screen for just a minute. Now, what I'm using right here on this chart is my Lightning 2 swings. And so that this video is going to be more of a training video, let me show you a little bit about Lightning first off, because you want to make sure that you always use the template that's on our website, okay? And I've got my Lightning always set up and defaulted by that template, okay? Now, I talk to people all the time that don't understand how to use Lightning. Well, Lightning actually has a hotkey on it, okay? The hotkey is defined in the parameters here on the indicator itself, okay? You actually have 4 choices of hotkeys, but we've assigned the hotkeys to, Lightning 1 being the Alt key, Lightning 2 being the Shift key, 3 being the Control key, and 4 being the Backspace key. Okay, and it's real simple to actually go in and set Lightning on your chart. I talk to people all the time though that I can't get Lightning to work or something like that. Well, one thing you've got to keep in mind also is the Control key and the Backspace key on Lightning has to be the larger swings. You couldn't draw Lightning 3, to give an example, from here. It won't draw. There's no other number. See how you've got a yellow number right down here? And if I even click it, it's not going to draw anything. Now, if I click it from up here, it will draw something. I simply hold my Control key down and left click, like so. Okay? Now, that's my Lightning 3 right there, but notice that it hasn't drawn anything here. Now, this one is Lightning 2. Okay, and it clearly tells you where the next trade is if you just get to learning to trust the Lightning. To give an example, even though this went red, see how it just bounced off a support area right here? This was like late last night. Could you be looking for either direction, even though this went red here? Because keep in mind, we're going to try to get that run before it goes crazy. You don't want to wait literally for the first pullback, because there's times these things will run 50 or 75 ticks and hardly ever look back, hardly at all. Okay? But they will, as a rule, when they first start out, when they're trying to get everybody, are we going short, are we going long, they're gonna bang around this mid band. Okay? Now, what I would see on this chart right now with lightning drawn, so you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, and you have a higher high up here, and you have a higher low here because you have a higher high here. So to me, if this was to break down, I would expect it to do this. Let me get an arrow. I would expect it to break this little area here. I would expect it to pull back and kiss it. Now, it doesn't have to break it by this much, keep in mind. I'm just talking about a break. All right? And then I would expect it to roll over. Okay? But in the same vein of things that you're looking at here, you're also looking at higher lows here. So wouldn't you also expect that it could very well thrust up and pull back and kiss right on top of this swing too? So drawing your lines on lightning is literally critical to your success in trading. I like to draw on both of my swings. See, I've got a closest left swing, and actually technically it'd be right here. This drew a little different because it doesn't differentiate as much between the session change. But anyway, let's say that the line is here and the line is here. Okay, so I'm expecting a trade in this little sweet spot to break up, or I'm expecting a trade to set up right in through here after a thrust down. Okay, and of course you could also draw a trend line. Keep in mind, trend lines work extremely well. I draw a trend line, something like that right there. If this happened to come down and give me another shot at trading this, breaking that trend line, I'd look for a little box again too. Okay, so what you're looking at on lightning, and keep in mind the way these markets move. Ever since Trump got elected, basically, and not so much him obviously, but just the overall economic climate, there's a lot of changes on these markets that don't necessarily get you going. For instance, is this going to go short and go down 100 ticks from here, or is it going to pop up and pull back and kiss and take off and go up? And you don't know that at the time. But with the way we trade, you do know that, because we're simply looking for a pullback into lightning, okay, or a pullback into lightning right here. Now, I like it as close to midband as possible myself, okay, because if you get a thrust, for instance, let's say that this does a little phantom trade, okay, that we teach. You would want to actually watch this and box it in, for instance, and if it hits line 7 and rolls, you take a quick short. But then you're going to be looking very possibly for a long if it comes down here and bounces. Okay. Now, if they were going to head down, then you box it in, and this could be like a little phantom trade, and you would simply stay with the trade, until it starts deciding to go the other direction, which is by the lightning. Okay. Now, lightning 2, the reason I put lightning 2 on this chart was because lightning 2 has to have at least 2 bars up or down. Okay. So it gives you a little bit cleaner lightning than lightning 1 does. Now, lightning 1 is just simply hold the Alt key down and left click your mouse on a swing. Okay. Notice how it's actually drawing the lightning 1 swings. Okay. Now, you can still go by how lightning is actually drawing on here. And let's just go to a black chart real quick, because I want to show you a little bit cleaner how this looks and how you can tell when things are changing. Okay, let's see, that's an RTY chart. I'll go ahead and put it on a webinar chart. And I'll bring it over. And we'll bring it to the fixed, take the predictor off. Okay, and then we're going to draw our lightning 2. Okay, lightning 2 is shift. By the way, if it doesn't draw from your dot, you'll notice if you click it again, you'll get that little window. It's no big deal as far as that goes, but you have to actually know how to draw your lightning, like from your swings and everything. Okay, just simply click it. Lightning 2 down here, for instance. Now notice that since I don't have prices on this chart except these lightning 3 and 4, I can't really draw it from a smaller swing right now, but I can figure out where my smaller swing is by simply just drawing it from one of these. Okay, now I've got lightning 1 and 2 drawn on my chart. Okay, now if you were just looking at this chart, you know, from nothing else, you don't have color background or anything, is this at this very moment a downtrend on the right side of the chart? And of course, the answer would be no, because you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, higher low, and even higher high, right? Okay, but you don't know if it's going to break up until it actually takes out this swing right across here, obviously. Okay, like so. But you are looking for a thrust and a pullback. Now, I can clearly see with my lightning right now, and you got to learn to see this with the bars on the chart too, because it's important to be able to do that. But just simply draw your lines on your chart. You know, there's a swing right there, and there's a swing right there. All right. I expect if this trade's going to head up, that it's probably going to come right in this little box right here. And my stop would be right here if it didn't. Okay, that's if it decides to go long. Now you'll notice that it's just a little above mid-band, so we're kind of looking very possibly for a long to begin with. But you've also got to look both directions, and that is if it was to break this line right through here, and see I've got a swing that's really close, like a 2-tick swing. So usually what I do in a case like that myself is this isn't necessarily heading down if it just barely touches this and then heads back up. So when I see it like this, if I box in, I look more for a break like this. Okay, because looking to the left to trade the right, I'm actually in a little bit of an uptrend. Okay, now on the overall, I'm sure it's still down because we looked at our chart over here. Let's move this. See, we've got a red background and everything. Okay, now this is exactly the same chart. Okay, this is drawing, you know, where those prices are, because all I do with this webinar indicator is just simply make the webinar to where your data series is blanked out. We've got our indicators on the chart. If you go to your data series, you'll notice that it's transparent. And there's a template on the website for that. Okay. This kind of hit me as a brainstorm a year or so ago, maybe even longer than that. I don't remember exactly, but you know, this is a really good way to see things on your chart. I believe one of the best. Okay, because it allows me to call trades, to give an example, that haven't changed trends yet, but they have changed trends as far as the micros and the secondary. And it's really important when you think about the minor lightning and the secondary lightning and then your medium lightning, because your medium lightning is going to be pretty much where they're going to start changing trends, and your micro is pretty much where we get in on the pullbacks. Okay, so let's just we're not going to get in a trade at all yet, but what I want to show you is just how this actually works. We'll just run this on lightning 1. We don't care about a trade. It's no big deal. Trying to teach you how to get in the trade. Let's watch the bars over here too, just so, bear with me a second. We'll pull it over here like that, and then we'll bring our other up here. We'll speed this up just a little bit. That's 300 times. That's pretty quick. Okay, notice how, all right, you had your thrust up like we talked about. Now you need your pullback. All right, see how that's pulling right back into my box? Now, how did we know that ahead of time, by the way? Because they always do a thrust and a retrace. Now, remember I mentioned that if you wanted to short this at a phantom, and this is a phantom short right here, that's a good 10, 15 tick trade. Okay. Will this continue to go down? Well, you don't know yet. Okay. But if it doesn't take out this swing, you still have a high, a low, a higher high, much higher high. And this is your identified swing on your secondary. See how it's drawing the secondary swing? Just like that. And I promise you, this way of trading will absolutely change the way that you trade, because you could have easily gotten you a quick short. We teach that trade all the time on Phantom. But is this actually going to be a downtrend? You don't know yet, because if it doesn't take this swing out right here, it's not really. Now, right now it is, because it took out this swing. But on a thrust, retrace, thrust, this is another swing right here. All right. So we teach for people to be able to see the trade in real time. All right. We're looking for a trade either to break to the downside or to the upside. So how about now we use our little tool? Okay. Let's just use our little tool right now. We'll go to Object Trader. And go in here to replay. And let's see, I've got this set for 4, so that's plenty. We're not going to do 4. All right, so are we ready for this trade, anybody? We are, aren't we? Now, our predictor's telling us that we should hit our head right in through here. Okay, so let's draw a line on predictor and see if we hit our head pretty much in through here. If we do, we could easily head up. If we don't take out this swing, we could also head up. Okay, we could box this in. Now, I like usually, personally, something more like that. Pardon me, I had to cough just a little bit. All right, everybody see this trade now, what we're looking for. There we go, we just got it. All right, so we have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. We're definitely now heading to the upside. You notice that you even broke your lightning 3 over here to the left. That's a telltale sign, by the way, that this phantom, even though it was a good phantom, we didn't take it. But I called it out ahead of time. You know, if you get up in this phantom area with this background change and everything, and this mid-band, you can definitely take that trade. But also keep in mind that a phantom trade is many, many times a trend change once they come back to this mid-band, and vice versa on the other direction, by the way. Okay. Now, if you were going to put a stop on this trade, obviously right now we got 15, so that would be, you know, $150. Okay. Now, the way I would personally do this one would probably be to take this trend line like so. See how it's doing right there, and they kind of kiss that trend line? So that looks to me like that more than likely will hold. So I would probably just go ahead and put my stop, since they wicked that trend line and bounced off of it, just underneath, about a couple of ticks underneath that, with exit on close. Okay? Now, by the way, Russell, being a 5-tick instrument, you can always do more than 2 if you want to. But keep in mind that even 2 can hurt you if you get, you know, stopped out several times. Okay, now this is going really slow. Let's just speed it up a little bit, see if we get anything. And of course, you always want to get one target totally out of the way. I mean, if you don't want to hit that target, just simply do this. Just kill it. That kills that target. And then you can just simply go for the top on 1. You've still got 2 in, and you can ride a runner as long as it runs, if you want to do it that way. Okay, now I've already killed it, so I can't put it back on. We don't have that feature in Object Trader. Okay, now does everybody see how that was actually done? And notice that the background is, it's not the red color, it's the sideways color. Notice that the midband is also the sideways color. That's not a bad area to look for good trades. Okay, because remember, you could have gotten a quick $150 or so on the Phantom. You could have drawn a trend line. When it bounced off of it, you could have boxed it in to go long, which basically is what we did. because you got to be able to see this in real time. You know, if you have to draw it, go ahead and draw it, because some of our people that have gotten really good at this just draw all over their charts. And then when they get through with a certain area of the chart, they turn them off. Isn't it safer to wait for a zigzag to go long? Well, Brian, on your question, you are actually, you mean, would it be better to get a zigzag like thrust, retrace, and then break? You can. But what I normally do in a case like this is I just actually like to jump in. And like I did, you know, remember this morning when we called that ES trade to give an example? We just said, don't let it go against you. Okay? Now, you could go ahead and take scalp if you want to, or you can keep moving your target out of the way if you want to. It's up to the individual. You know, if you get up only $130, I like a little bit more than that on my trades. You know, just with 2 contracts, you're only up, what, just a few ticks, you know, 7 ticks or so, 6 ticks. There's 8 ticks, 7 ticks, 8 ticks. You know, so you can keep moving this out of the way if you want to. It's up to the individual how they want to do that, but you do want to go to break even sometime soon if you're going to hold the trade. Okay. Now, what I normally like to do with something like Russell is I would do 3 contracts and then take some coin up here at this top and maybe ride 1 or 2. Okay. Now, Brian, on your question, this is a good answer to it too. Notice how sometimes they don't zigzag. See how this hasn't even come back a bar yet? So this would be a little bit harder to get into because you're not getting a zigzag. Now, could you add to it on a zigzag to give an example? What do you think on that? Or if it comes back and kisses. Let's look at our swings and let's see if we can get another one on just for the fun of it. Let's get rid of our lines. Let's draw our lines here. Got a swing there. Got to get more of a thrust though. And we got to swing here, but we got to get more of a thrust. Okay, so in other words, we can't just go ahead and buy it here because it's already thrusting. Okay, now kissing that, could you actually grab that like right there at that line? See where it just kissed that lightning right there? That's what I'm trying to show tonight. Now will this work? Well, we don't know yet, but I'm not going to give it a lot of wiggle room if it doesn't. But look how that bounced right off that line. I drew it. Okay, and that's what you got to be able to see. You got to be able to see not only the lightning 3 lines, but you got to be able to see these lightning 2, and then lightning 1's even in your head. Okay, lightning 2 is a little bit easier to watch on your chart than, you know, like lightning 1 is pretty busy. See how that's still holding that area? Now, could you have put your stop? Well, now you can for sure. Could you have put your stop just right under here because that should have held? Well, I see another swing right there, so I would probably just simply put it a tad underneath that at the time. Now that it's breaking up, you could literally raise your stop to just under here. Okay? Now, that's that little zigzag that Brian's talking about. But notice that was a little bit more of a breakout then. Unless you did it like I did. See, we drew the line right where it hadn't checked, and it checked it. So you just simply grabbed it. Everybody see that? Let's see, just one sec. Let me see if some questions are coming in. When I first started Viper last fall, I thought I knew what I was doing and lost money. I was just trading off color background and mid-band. Since last fall, I've learned how to draw my charts. There you go. There you go. Okay, and the whole thing is, you know, keep in mind that when things trend and they're really stair-stepping, you're going to get those beautiful green backgrounds, you're going to get those beautiful green bars, but unfortunately, there's not a way, the way markets continually change the way they do things, to have set software that's going to literally say, okay, we're starting to get into a long trend. We've got to be able to draw on our charts to see it. Yeah, Raymond, matter of fact, mentioned he did 147 ticks on CL this morning. And he and I were Skyping this morning, you know, just simply because we saw the trade. And, you know, if I see somebody on Skype, I'll answer. So notice how we've got us a nice little trade. Could we now take our stop up underneath lightning? Well, always draw on your charts and see where they haven't checked yet. They haven't checked here. Okay, they did check there. They haven't checked here. Okay, see how they haven't checked there yet? Because when they thrust up. Now, so what I normally do is pull it back a little bit behind just in case they just wick those. Okay? And then if you get another one that pops, you just simply start stair-stepping up. And of course you could take one off since we're getting, if we get a bar that closes down, that is here, or a little swing break. Or you could use power meter 1 and simply take one off if it starts stair-stepping down at all. Or take 2 off if you wanted to even, by simply watching the meter. I usually like just take 1 off, especially if they're stair-stepping like this. Raise your stop under there. Check where they haven't checked yet. They checked there, so you're good. They don't have to check here anymore. Now you check here and about right in through here, I would say, more than anything, if that's where that wick is right there. Okay, and see they kind of checked it too. Okay, so when you get something running like this, just simply sit back and enjoy the profit. Okay, because this does happen a lot in trading, where you get these monster moves like this. Okay, but does anybody remember trading Russell this morning? See, I don't get up at this time of morning. Now by 5 o'clock I was up. So I guess this is after 5 now, because I was up at 5 this morning. So see, here's your 5. Now, I didn't personally trade Russell this morning. I traded oil, and I told everybody that I traded oil. I did trade it in the room, though. We called it in the room. But and also remember the ES call that was made? Okay. Now watch it just in case, but always draw on your charts and see where have they been, where are they going. Whether they're trying to check this swing, look to the left to trade the right, they might be checking this swing right here. See it right there? Okay. And they've kind of checked this already, so I think you'll be, pretty safe with this trade if you just held your stop just under here. Let's see if it holds. Got a swing drawn right there. Now it's close. See them wicking it. Now usually what I do, if I can see them wicking it, I'll bring my stop on down below the wick just in case, because I want to stay in that trade if possible, because I know they're just trying to wick this. You see what I mean? See how they're just trying to wick it? And you can stay in a trade longer if you learn to do that, because see that swing right there? That's a wick so far, is all it is. If that bar closes up, more than likely they'll take it on up. See there? Seen that 1,000 times, probably 10,000 times. Let's see, that's why you see the move, you make the move and get out. Absolutely, you've got to, like right now, we're going a little bit sideways, aren't we? Just a tad on the sideways side. So is this trade over yet? Well, we're going to find out here in a few minutes. Let's see if it is. Let's just see if it is. Not yet. If they keep trucking on up, we'll keep bringing our stop underneath those swings. Is it going to give up the ghost yet? We don't know. We'll see. If it stops us, right? We've got our stop in. It's got to give us another lightning swing before we're going to raise it. What do y'all think? Does it make you nervous yet? When they start going sideways like that, you got to start being a little bit concerned on it. But if it'll go ahead and stay on top of our lines, see, we're drawing our lines on our chart so we know where they should hit their head. And when they give you a trend line to draw, that's pretty good too. Notice how they came a little bit deeper, okay? And we held because it just wicked it, right? See, we held because it just wicked it. So now we could easily draw a trend line, couldn't we? I'd draw it probably something like this. Not this. This is way too wide. See that? That's under those lows. No way. All right. But you could draw it like this, right? Just kind of go under those lows. See if we continue heading up. So far you still are, aren't you? And when does anybody understand, and I think a bunch of you do because you've been with Viper a long time, but when would this actually change what we call the secondary trend? Not meaning that we'd go short, although you could, but you'd have to be careful. But let's just look at this. Let's look at the dark chart just for a minute so we can see it a little bit easier. Drawing on our charts. Drawing on our charts. Let's see what we get here. All right, that's not an identified swing. This is. But if you get a high, a low, a lower high, and you break this, this would be the right side of the chart that would be heading down. Okay, this would be the left side of the chart if it breaks it. Okay, now you're not changing trends or anything like that, even when it breaks this. There you go. See, you're still okay. So let's see if this draws higher. Yep. Okay, so now this is an identified swing. See it right there? So could you, in all sense of staying in a trade for as long as you possibly can, could you use the lightning swing? And the answer is yes. See how it's stair-stepping, 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 stair-stepping up. Okay? Let's see what it does here. We don't care what we're still in it. We can even move our target out of the way if we want to. Let's go back to our black chart. Let's draw a trend line. And let's see if we can tell when this thing, and if it's going to give up. It's really going. Look, they're on a fresh high, so you got to watch it after they do that. You can clearly see that. See your lightning 4 swing over here? It's above it. So couldn't you, if you were going for the gusto, couldn't you have your trade actually sitting here and now here? See how that lightning is just heading up like crazy right there? And now couldn't you have it there? Lightning 2 would be here. You could even just take one off here and the last one here if you wanted to, just in case they're going to bip you out. That's a high, a low, lower high, tad lower low. There you go. You're trying to bounce. Now you're out. Everybody see that? Now, let's look at the chart and see where we're at. Everybody see how you could manage that trade though? Now notice we didn't manage it on here. We probably haven't even gotten stopped out yet. We still got our long one, but wouldn't you have already taken that trade off the table? We teach to do it, and that's exactly the way we teach to do it right there. You would have been out of that trade when it broke that swing right there, or for sure that one. Okay, because was this heading up any longer? And the answer is no. Now, is it time to short it yet? The answer is still no on that too. Okay, because you do have what we call a nice retracement trade more than likely coming so they can test those tops. Okay. All right. Let's see, this was about 841. Notice how that's actually, see, it's breaking, pretty nicely now. This is actually on top of like this swing here. Let's look to the left to trade the right. See if we got anything else there. Don't see anything. Let's see if we can tell when this if it stair steps back up. And that's an if, because it did break down, but let's see. Now, was this a short yet? Well, it could have been, because you broke down below support, didn't you? And you broke a trend line. So you could have shorted this. But let's see if they give us another starting to stair step back up at all. And we'll see if they do that. There's a higher low. There you go. It's trying its best. Yep. Now you draw your line at the top just in case they double top. You protect some coin. Could have drawn a trend line to get in that trade. And I'd put my stop just underneath there. And you're out. Everybody see that? You're totally out. Now, does that mean that you might not get another trade? This looks like it's going into like a little bit more of a chop mode. Let's look at the actual chart and see if we can figure it out too. See how I figured that out with the swings alone though? You're just simply watching the chart. And these pretty much, they don't print in exact real time because it's obviously got to make the little swing and everything. But see how you can clearly see how to trade this just off these swings and drawing your lines on your charts. Let's look at the deal here real quick. See if we can figure out something else. We're going to see if we can get a trade. Now, with this being sideways now, I'd be looking a little bit more at scalp trades because it's already run. And let's get rid of Lightning 2. Get rid of Lightning 1. And let's draw some lines on our charts. All right, so we had a little bounce off of predictor right here. So you've already missed the trade, unfortunately, because if you drew your line, you would have already gotten in it. So I'd skip that one. Does anybody remember this trade in the room this morning, though? That at 8:30 or so, remember this thing just busted out and went like crazy. But couldn't you have gotten out just like I drew those lines and everything? And yet, could you also see, remember when we were looking at this trade in real time this morning, and I kept saying that it just won't seem to go up, remember? So let me ask you a quick question on this chart. Where would be the short if it was to break down? Well, you already broke a swing right here, you can clearly see, but this is a Lightning 3 swing right here. Okay, you could draw a trend line from those Lightning 3 swings if you wanted to, like so. And you remember when I actually got out of my long and shorted this little puppy this morning, and I showed it live in the room and everything as it was heading down? But you got to draw on your charts to catch these, because, and one of the reasons that I caught it is because they didn't really take out these previous highs. So when they don't do that, you can almost look for, a pretty decent trade to the downside if they don't take out these highs. Okay, and we do box in at the mid-band. So, if you were just getting up for the first time in the morning, to give an example, could you take a quick little trade off of this? Let's say you were just wanting, I don't know, let's just do it for, oh, we're already in one. Sorry about that. We'll close it. Never mind. I was going to say if you grab this, you could definitely have that little trade again. We just missed it, so that's okay. Okay. Now, when would this actually change trends? If it decided to change trends, anybody? Well, you have a high, a low. You got lower highs, but you haven't taken out this low. But Lightning 3 will give you a pretty good opportunity to watch it too. So for instance, if you had your stop sitting here, could you have actually reversed that trade? Well, you could, but it was a gutsy move. There's no question about that. What if you were to say, you know what, if it breaks this, I'm going to go ahead and short it? Or would you wait for it to come back and kiss it? Because see, that's the problem in any kind of trading. They don't always do that. When Russell broke this morning, this is what actually happened. I'll just speed this up and show it. See how it was just going sideways? Started to get a little lower highs, broke our trend line, and down she went. And if you didn't catch that trade, like on that trend line break or right here at mid band, or at least under that swing right there, it didn't look back. It just flat didn't look back. Remember what that did? Did that give a little, what we call a micro type move? What we call the minimum criteria trade? No, it didn't, did it? See there? I mean, if you missed that move, you just literally missed it. But the way we teach and everything, does anybody remember exactly where the trade was called long after this? Because looking to the left to trade the right, what had it actually done? It had done a huge thrust, 61% retracement. We called it out in the room this morning. And even though this background was this color and everything, we were thinking that very possibly they were going to take this up, remember? But do we chase a trade? No, you got to wait for the thrust and the retrace. So let's see if you could tell when to get in. Got a little lightning swing right across there. Oh, and if you don't see it, let's draw it. Sorry about that. We'll draw it too, because you got to be able to see it. See it right there? Now, if you were looking to take a long here, to give an example, we do teach to box in around mid-band, especially when they have these monster moves down, but yet the overall trend is still up. Okay? But you've got to wait for the little pullback, or if you get into a trade, you can't let it go against you. That's the absolute best way to trade it. Because this is actually still what we call a phantom trade. If this hits line 7 and rolls, could this be a quick trade to the downside? And the answer is yes, because that's a phantom trade. And by the way, this won't even trigger unless that bar closes down. Okay? If that bar closes down, it would actually trigger a short, and we'll do 2. See, it's right at phantom. It's right at resistance. And we did call this trade in the room this morning also. This is a true phantom trade after a trend change, exactly the way it's taught. But remember, phantoms can also be trend changes too. Okay? And this phantom did turn out to be a trend change. But could you have actually easily, watching the swing, could you have easily made yourself like 8 ticks? More than likely real easily. And put your stop nice and tight. You don't want to give them a bunch just in case they decide to blow that up. Okay? But let's watch this for a moment and let's see and let's just pretend we didn't even get the phantom. I called it this morning in the room, but let's say you didn't get it. All right, on this side of the chart, you're clearly heading down. On this side of the chart, you're clearly heading up. So left side of the chart was heading down, right side of the chart is heading up. So we expect a pullback into either here on this swing or here on this swing. Okay? And if it comes down to one of those and bounces, you could count on the fact that we would get into that trade. Okay? Drawing your lines. You're drawing your lines on your chart. You're drawing Lightning 2 right here. And that's a good swing, by the way. That was resistance. It's now support. Does anybody remember exactly where that trade was called this morning in the room? The line was drawn clearly. So could you be ready to take this trade if it decided to touch that line and bounce? And that's what I want to show tonight more than anything, is where you can tell where they're coming back to. Now, if they don't, if it just started cratering through that line, then you're not bouncing at all. You don't have to take that trade. Okay, but watch what actually happened. I remember this morning. See that right there? See it kiss it? So could you jump in that trade right there? Right when it bounced off that line? We talked about it. Now, what about if you decided, you know what? I think I'll do a trend line instead. Touch plus like 2. Everybody remember that little trade in the room this morning? All they do is they come back and they check these levels of support. And when you thrust up and you pull back into a nice support area like this, we were smart. We weren't going to just give them, for instance, on this trade, we weren't going to let them go all the way back down to here when we got in here. So you got to be smart about your trade. For instance, I wouldn't put my stop, oh, well, here I see a lightning swing way down here. No, you would have to put your stop just under, where it's trying to bounce. Because if it's going to take me out, it's not going to cost me that much. Well, it would with 4 contracts because we just got in 4 because we broke that trend line. Okay? Drawing on your charts is absolutely critical. You're going to be able to tell right when things change trends. You're going to be able to get shorts quicker. Don't pay as much attention to backgrounds and colors, although they're really important in thrusting and pullback moves. But you're going to find yourself being able to get into trades on that first, like a first leg, second leg type of a pullback real easy. Because see, this is clearly you have a low, have a high, you have a higher low. They definitely took it out on the right and on the left. So a person could literally, I didn't put extra targets on, so we'll just get it out of the way. Always look to the left to trade the right and see where they're going. Anybody remember that trade being called live in the room this morning? It's easy to show on a chart in a webinar that, hey, I can get to, $1,000. Well, but you understand that we actually did these and called them out and everything. Okay, which is really important, that this is not, after the fact type stuff. Okay? Because that trade was called right there off of that swing. Beautiful little bounce. We didn't take the initial thrust because we didn't know it was changing trends yet. But we knew it was changing trends when it took this out right here. And, it was screaming to go up. And then it came back and kissed it. And that's what they do. Okay, notice that you didn't get your trend change green until this thing was way up on this bar. Well, you don't want to chase that. When that turned green, you go, hey, I'll take a long. That's too late. This was your trade. Okay, now watch as it actually stair steps and see if you can tell exactly where to get out of this trade. Okay, because it will tell you exactly where to get out of the trade if you just simply watch it on the chart. Let's go to the black one again. I'll get rid of all this over here because we don't really care anymore on it. Let's just get rid of Lightning 1 and Lightning 2. And that's good. We'll draw it from there. And I'll get rid of all these lines. But I am going to draw resistance. 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 So there's 3 targets that I've got. Remember, I drew those in the room this morning too. And looking to the left to trade the right, that's what we got. All right, so where could your stop be on this? Anybody? Right under that. Did it go up higher this morning? Let's just see. Where would your stop be? Anybody? Right there. Anybody remember that trade? And you know, once you start getting up, up, up and everything, and you're going good, you don't have to keep chasing trades, by the way. You know, I've gotten to where I don't just chase trades all over the place, you know, on 4 charts, because, you know, one thing you got to be watching your chart. They move these things pretty quick nowadays. I think everybody knows that. They move them pretty quick. Let's see here. Let me see if I'm missing any questions here. On the Phantom around price 1600, did you manually do the short? I don't see why OT would have. Well, OT doesn't do anything unless you tell it to, David. You know, it's not like an auto trader. We're going to try to get it that way a little bit more as we go. You know, to give an example, without looking at anything else, could you actually short this right here to try to get down to here or here? And the answer is yes. It's actually hitting, you know, a top there. You don't know if it's going to hold. Could you actually, without looking at anything else, could you actually look at this trend line, to give an example? And if it breaks that trend line, could you short that? And the answer is yes. Okay. Did it break that trend line? This is about the time we close the room, so it hit this trade on the head where I called it out this morning. There you go. Just broke down. See there? Now, where would you put your stop if you were short? Well, obviously, right across here right now, right? You're short. You got to trade. You got to be careful. There, you just got taken out. See that? This is a killer way to trade. I can promise you that. You just got to watch the charts. You know, if this was to decide to just go sideways, where could you actually draw another trend line and very possibly short this? Let's draw another trend line and see if we can get it. I think I got about the right angle. See there? Wow. Now, where would your stop be? Anybody? You're short. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's see what it does. You can always put your stop just behind the closest. If you get a swing like I just drew and you got another one within just a few ticks, just move it just a little bit. See how beautiful that trade turned out to be? Now, when did this trade stop out? Anybody? Well, look at your little swings and you'll be able to tell. There, you just stopped out. Everybody see that? It's just absolutely a perfect way to trade. Okay, could you have also stopped out on trend line, gotten out earlier than that? Yes. See your little high, low, lower high? Draw your trend line, and you'd have been stopped out right through there instead. Okay, it's all in how you trade it, you know, and how quick you want out of a trade. I would not recommend using mid-band all the time for your stops. You got to look at what's really going on. Was that a phantom trade? Yes. Is this another phantom trade? Very possibly. Draw a trend line. Let's see. Let's see if it breaks. I'll draw a trend line. Come on. Looks like a pretty good downtrend to me. But it's also an uptrend right now on this side of the chart. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you did get a break here. Okay, so you have a 1, 2, 3. Now, if this is going to thrust up and pull back and kiss here, it would have to thrust up, pull back and kiss. So we'll draw a line. Now, you're not going to take it long if it just touches that line. It's got to thrust up. Okay, because if you were going long, you should have done it here. That's that thrust and phantom and then pull back in the mid-band. Okay, Let's see what it did. See if it'll thrust up and pull back and kiss, or if it's going to break us. It's breaking us instead. You just got a short on your trend line. Everybody see how that works? I mentioned that it would have to break this. If this, if you didn't get in here at the mid band and take it off on the trend line break, then you're not trading like we're teaching as much, okay? Because we do look for this trade where it thrusts up and pulls back and kisses mid band, and we do box in mid bands, and you can get that nice little long trade. But look at the short on this thing, okay? Drawing on your charts is absolutely critical to your success, okay? And keep in mind that if you're going to use Lightning, use Lightning 2, it's easier to see, and Lightning 1, if you get any time that they just go like a bar up, a bar down, a bar up, a bar down type of thing, where they don't give you these a little bit larger swings. You got to be smart in your trading. For instance, when this dropped like this, even Lightning 1 wouldn't have drawn. Let me show you. It would have drawn a little bit though. See it right there? A little thrust retrace. So, rather than being like Lightning 1, let me draw it on the black chart again. See if I can get to where that's at. Just a second. That's over at 11:58. Let's see, from about 11:48. Let's see if we can draw that. So we draw Lightning 1 from here. Come on, stay on. All right. So see, here's Lightning 1, zigzag. Didn't quite take out that low. You could have boxed this in and gotten out, but for sure you can actually get out when they start stair stepping back up or they break a trend line. Everybody see that? Okay. Otherwise, you would have just had your stop right above here, looking to the left to trade the right, and it finally took it out anyway. Okay. So just remember, if you're not being able to see Lightning on your chart, go to your Lightning indicator and make sure that Lightning 1 is on Alt key, 4 range, 1 swing strength. Extremely important. Okay, you can change the colors to anything you want. You can do the little trend line colors like I do mine in blue and red. You can change that to any color you want. I do my Lightning 2 in lime green and purple with a 4 range 2 swing strength. You can do that in any color you want also. Okay, now the box, what this means right here, the downtrend box color, that's this. Lightning 2, to give an example, is this power meter. Okay, Lightning 1, when it says the color of the box, is this power meter. Okay, so when you're looking at your power meters and everything, you got to remember that, when it says red and green like this, that's the way I like them personally. And we didn't do them in shades because unfortunately the colors bleed through from the background. So we just did it in real dark, with a good opacity and everything. Okay, can you show how to add RTY to Instrument Manager in NT7? Sure, Dennis, I can do that. Let me show Dennis this real quick. Dennis, go to Tools, Instrument Manager. Now, if you don't have the newest version of Ninja, you won't be able to do this, but I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of my RTY. Okay, see, I don't have RTY. All right, so to get that, just simply type in RTY and search. And if it doesn't come up on your search, then you're on an older version of Ninja, or you need to reset your Instrument Manager. Okay, so if you wanted RTY, for instance, in here, you just simply left arrow it, make sure it's on the right month for you on your expiration. Oh, you're on 40? Yeah, you got it then. So just go ahead and do your search for RTY, and then just left arrow it, and it puts it right in the list. And then once it's in the list, you click OK. All right. Now let me show everybody before we wrap. We're right at an hour, but I want to show you Ninja 8 and the same thing on Lightning. Okay. Ninja 8 is a little bit different, and keep in mind that we do not have Object Trader done on Ninja 8 as of yet. Okay, this is Ninja 8 right here. You have the exact same lightning, but the way Ninja 8 does, it's a little different on its indicators. Okay? Notice that I just simply have Object Trader Lightning MTF 4 times on my chart. Okay? The reason for that is because each one of these is different. This one, for instance, is a 4 range, 1 strength, and it's on the power meter index of 1. That means it's in this meter right here. Okay? Number 2 is simply 2 swing strength, power meter index. It's showing 1 also. That's wrong. So that's got to be power meter index 2. Okay? And then this one needs to be on power meter index 3. And this one needs to be on power meter index 4. I reinstalled Ninja the other morning. All right, so when you have that done and you click apply or OK, then you see all 4 of your power meters filled in. Okay? And it's the same thing. You just simply hold the shift key to give an example for Lightning 2. See there? And Lightning 3 is simply your control key. Like that. Any ETA on Ninja 8 with OT? Mindy, I'm, to the point of literally praying for that thing to get done. We keep running into problems with Ninja 8 they keep updating their code and everything, like they just came out with another version of Ninja, and they're trying to get their chart trader to where it, shrinks up and everything, but they're playing havoc with Object Trader. Okay, so this is going to be Object Trader right here. See, I just simply put it on my chart and click OK, and that's going to be the new Object Trader right there. All right, but it's not available yet, and mine doesn't work. I can't fire a trade or anything. It doesn't. This is just a panel so far. Okay. Once he gets that figured out, and here's another problem we have with Ninja 8. Let me show it to you. If you put the tool indicator on this chart, you will notice that your toolbar does that. Well, it didn't do that when he first designed it. It's just when Ninja started moving stuff around and changing things, they're in the process of working their own stuff, and then they messed us up here. So, we've got to get this fixed. We got to get this fixed. And once we get all that done, this is going to go pretty quick once we get to the point where, for instance, we can move this chart, to give an example, and even shrink this panel up and still have everything on it. That's what I want. Okay? So anyway, if you use Ninja 8, don't use our toolbar yet unless you go back 3 back on Ninja. You have to go to Ninja 8 that was 3 times ago to have that toolbar work perfectly. So, they're kind of the problem. They're changing stuff right in the middle of while we're coding. And, whatever they changed in here, it was simply to do with the chart somehow, as far as, how this chart actually moves separate and everything. Yeah, you can stay on 7, absolutely. We're going to stay on 7 for quite a while anyway. I like Ninja 7. Okay? Everybody get something out of this tonight? I mean, if you think about it and you really watch your lightning and you watch your trend lines and everything, don't get in a trade like right here, to give an example, and have this thing go up, 30 ticks for you, and then let it go all the way back against you. Use trend lines and use lightning, because when did this start stair-stepping back down? Well, basically you had a high over here, so you had a high, low, lower, high, lower, low, and then you started stair-stepping up. Okay, so basically you can't put your stop so quick right off the bat because you'll never get that first pop. But once you do get that first pop, then start, making sure that when it starts stair-stepping back down, draw your trend lines and things and you can get out. Okay, and I want to show one more thing too, because this webinar goes on our webinar site and everything. So bear with me 1 second. I want to show so that some of our naysayers out there, because there's a few of them, Bear with me 1 second. Got to go to little download here. Let's see, it's on the desktop. Just 1 second. Where are you at? Bear with me just 1 second. Well, I thought I brought it to the desktop. Let me see if I can check my desktop out just real quick and I'll find it. Forgot what I named it. This might be it right here. No, that's 12.3. That's not it. Oh, there's the name of it, though. Just 1 sec. I think I can get it now. Inked Top Step 2.7's not it. 225. Here it is. Okay. Just so that everybody knows that this is the real type stuff, okay? This is actually my account with Top Step Trader, okay? This was simply trading today. I had a total fill of 5. That was it. All I did was traded 5 total contracts. That's not 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 or anything like that. That was a total of 5 contracts. I got $900 on this particular account. It's sitting at $63.97, so I need to withdraw again on it, right? Okay, so I'm going to withdraw from them because I like to keep about 4,000 in it because you have all the way to 0 that you can trade it with. But this shows, just for anybody that's out there that happens to watch my webinar and say, yeah, it's easy to show that afterwards. Well, that's real. Okay. And the only reason that I put these little dots on here because that's my actual account number. But you can clearly see it says Gary Donahue, GD 9 something, right? So that's an actual Top Step funded account. Okay. And that's not to brag or anything like that. That's simply to show some of the people out there that we do know what we're doing. And we teach people to do this every single day. Okay. And a person can clearly see that if we called this trade, to give an example on Russell way back, let's see, where'd my Russell chart go? Bear with me a second. Russell chart. Everybody should remember this little trade right back here because that little puppy was called in real time. See it? And off it went. And could you have drawn a trend line to get out? Absolutely you could have, because that's what I did, and that's what most of our people do. And it also hit the very, very top. Right after we closed the room, did anybody notice it hit the very top? Let's see, is there a difference in region between the name Donahue and Donahue? I don't know that, Lewis. I know that there are some Donahues in the country. They're not related to us. The Donahue is actually, more popular Irish name, but, that's just been my name. My parents never, changed the spelling or anything like that. All right, so we're going to do this again in the morning. Let's see. I have been in the room every day and never seen a losing trade on Viper. Well, thanks, Walter. And the whole thing is that's not bunk because, we have taught ourselves to see these charts. Now, does that mean you're going to literally just clean up with 1,600 every day? No. Think about, just to give an example, Raymond's trade this morning on crude oil. I want to show you that trade real quick, and then we definitely have to wrap. Bear with me a second. Same analogy right here on crude. All right, you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It thrust up, it pulled back. You weren't up at 3, but it pulls back right into my line. Could you get long here? Yes. Did you get a couple of $100 with 2 contracts? Absolutely you did. You either held it or you got stopped out. It did go up a little higher. But is this actually right here on the left side of the chart is what we call the identified swing. On the left side of the chart, This is your identified swing right now. Like so. Everybody see it? High, low, higher, high. Just pretty much right underneath there. And we caught that this morning. Now you think, wow, you know, this thing was heading up. You had a green background and everything. But what's the key to trading? Higher lows and higher highs means long trend. Lower highs and lower lows means downtrend. When did this change to lower highs and lower lows? Well, for sure, when it broke this swing and this swing, I mean, it was almost a no-brainer to short that. Yeah, there you go. All right. Notice how far that went down, too. That was just an amazing trade. And if you didn't get it all, who would have really cared? If you did 2 contracts on that thing and rode this little puppy down, 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 stair-stepping down, started stair-stepping up right through there. See, every one of these was heading down before that. See them? Lower highs, lower highs. You have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, you're starting to get a higher high. You can get out of the trade. Doesn't matter if it's the mid-band, it's more the swing. Okay? So start really being able to see these things on your charts, because it'll be amazing to you. See that? Stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down. Where would your stop be? Stair-stepping down, kissed it. Could you have stayed in that trade? Yep, you could have stayed in that trade with lightning, couldn't you? But are you still staying in the trade if it breaks it? See there? No. Because you're starting to stair-step up when you literally went like this, this, and this on this side of the chart. And on this side of the chart, it did hold, so you did have one more trade. Okay? So let's do this for real again tomorrow, and let's just see what we can get done. And by the way, those accounts that we offer out there, I'm going to try to get with Top Step also and see if they will let us do a discount instead of an affiliate. I don't want their money. I want to give people a discount. Okay? So, you know, with OneUp, we already give 25%. I would like to at least talk Top Step into 20 to 25. If they do that for us on a continual basis, you know, we'll actually push them both, because I have both of them, and truthfully, I like them both. Top Step doesn't have that consistency rule, which I don't really like with OneUp, but, you know, I'm a good enough trader, I can do it, but I do know some people that would get up really high one day and then not so high the next, and they'd never hit the consistency. Okay, again, thanks everybody for coming to the webinar tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. And learn to draw the minor, the secondary, and your medium swings on your charts. And it'll make a world of difference where these things are changing trends. See how that broke Lightning 3? Came back and kissed. Did it head up for a while? Yep. But look what oil did afterwards. There's your swing again right there. You broke it a little bit. You kissed it. See there? Broke it, kissed it, and down she went. I don't know if anybody traded that afterwards, but oil was a monster after the room closed too. Okay. Again, thanks everyone, and have a great evening. And I ran it about 13 minutes over, but we're going to put this on the training link. And I'm going to actually call it Lightning 1, 2, and 3. And you'll know that basically how to watch your meters and everything too. And you can use those meters to actually get out of a trade. But be careful doing them too quick, because sometimes you'll get out and you could still hit like a swing to the left. You're looking more at the right when you're getting out, that you might still want to stay in a trade. Okay? I'm going to try to get that in the next version of Object Trader, to where you'll be able to choose the right side for the stair stepping up or the left side. So that way you would stay in this trade literally until it took out this swing. And if it broke again, then obviously it would look at like this swing next. See there? And then if it stayed, and you see how that did? And then it finally broke. All right. We'll see you in the morning. We'll do this. Thanks, everyone. Good night.